Ladies and gentlemen, IPCA has always been rewarding eminent and enterprising professionals from the industry for their dedication, for their work ethics and hard work. These professionals are role models of our industry, and through these awards, IPCA acknowledges their valuable contributions to the coating industry. This year, IPCA has conferred the Lifetime Achievement Award to two eminent professionals from our coating industry. May I now request Vice President Mr. Rohan Bhasin to kindly come and take us through the proceedings of the Lifetime Achievement Awards ceremony.
जीवन काल उपलब्धि पुरस्कार लाइफटाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड। थोड़ा मैं अपने तरीके से अंदाज़ा बयान करना चाहूँगा। मुझे एक पर्चा दिया तो गया है, तो थोड़ा सा मैं पहले अपने तरीके से अंदाज़ा बयान करूँगा, फिर मैं ये जरूर पढ़ूँगा जो मुझे दिया गया है। हमारे जो अगले माननीय अतिथि है, जिनको जीवन काल उपलब्धि पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया जाएगा, उन्होंने अपने जीवन में समय को बहुत मूल्य दिया है। समय ही उनके जीवन का प्रमुख सार रहा है, और जो इंसान समय को मूल्य देता है, समय उसे बहुमूल्य बना देती है। दोस्तों, आपने एक वृक्ष तो ज़रूर देखा होगा। आप वृक्ष को देख सकते हैं, वृक्ष के मजबूत शाखाएं आपको दिखती है, हरे भरे पत्ते वृक्ष के आपको दिखते हैं, फूल फल वगैरह सब आपको दिखती है, वृक्ष की खूबसूरती आपको दिखती है। पर अगर आपको वृक्ष का कोई एक हिस्सा जो नहीं दिखता है, वो है उस वृक्ष का नींव, जो ज़मीन में धंसा हुआ है, गहरा मिट्टी में लिपटा हुआ। वो नींव ही दोस्तों उस वृक्ष की मजबूती का, खूबसूरती का और फल का कारण होता है। इन्होंने अपने जीवन में अपनी पारिवारिक नींव, औद्योगिक नींव, संस्थाओं की नींव, मैत्रिता की नींव, संबंधों की नींव से अपनी लोकप्रियता और ये मुकाम हासिल किया है। ईमानदारी, अखंडता, पारदर्शिता के अटूट स्तंभों पर खड़ा ये समूह, जो एक इकाई से शुरू हुआ था, ये कहानी जो एक इकाई से शुरू हुई थी, आज 80 से भी ज़्यादा इकाई उत्पादन कर रही है इनके प्रोडक्ट्स। इनकी व्यावसायिक नीतियाँ और प्रगतिशील नेतृत्व में इन्होंने एक बहुत ही अनोखा विपणन नेटवर्क, फ्रेंचाइजी नेटवर्क बनाया है। आप लोगों के चेहरे में थोड़ी मुस्कुराहट आ रही है कि शायद वो आप समझ रहे हैं किसकी बात हो रही है। इससे उनकी कंपनी की बहुत वृद्धि हुई थी और आज भी है। 16,000 करोड़ की ब्रांड सेल्स टर्नओवर, दूरदर्शी, लोकप्रिय उद्योगपति, लोगों के मित्र, जिन्होंने अपना ये स्थान कड़ी परिश्रम और लगन से हासिल किया है। इनकी परिश्रम और लगन को देख के मुझ जैसे नौजवान को भी शर्मिंदा होना पड़ता है। आज से 14 साल पहले मेरी उनसे पहली मुलाकात हुई थी इप्का के बैंकॉक एक कॉन्फ्रेंस में, जब उन्होंने एक की नोट एड्रेस दिया था। और मेरा ये सौभाग्य है कि आज 14 साल बाद मुझे ये मौका प्राप्त हो रहा है कि मैं उनको इस मंच पे आमंत्रित कर सकूं, वो भी अपने अंदाज में। Ladies and gentlemen, Now I will start the reading out. The catalyst behind the success of Kamdhenu Group, Mr. Satish Agarwal, holds the office of Chairman and Managing Director in the organization. Mr. Agarwal has been the driving force behind the company's seamless progress, a rich repository of industrial experience of over 45 years. Mr. Agarwal is a gold medalist in BE Mechanical from IIT BHU Varanasi. He has been the force behind the strong and efficient marketing network of Kamdhenu Group that spreads out across the country. In fact, he is instrumental behind initiating the franchisee business association model, thereby contributing towards the tremendous growth of the company. The group has spiraled from single manufacturing unit to more than 80 manufacturing units producing Kamdhenu brand products under the franchisee business association model. Kamdhenu is the largest TMT selling brand in India in the retail segment through more than 1,000 dealers and distributors. That really deserves an applause, my friends. 10,000 dealers and distributors. Mr. Agarwal has been no less than a torchbearer in the TMT steel market for Kamdhenu with overall brand sales turnover of over 16,000 crores. It is under his able guidance that the Kamdhenu products thrived in every market of India it touched, and thereby Kamdhenu Group progressed with leaps and bounds in a short span of time. He is the one to maintain an atmosphere of good corporate governance through well-strategic policies, ethics and work culture. Not only this, Mr. Agarwal also led to diversification of the Kamdhenu Group into the paint business. माने अगर आज आपकी घरों की नींव मजबूत इनके कारण थी, आपकी घरों की खूबसूरती का भी जिम्मा इन्होंने ही उठा लिया, रंगों की दुनिया में आके कलर ड्रीम्स ब्रांड लॉन्च करके. It is this proficient management that enabled the paint brand of Kamdhenu Paints Color Dreams to carve its niche amongst some of the prominent paint players of India. With his sharp business understanding and confidence, Mr. Agarwal has been the motivating energy in making Kamdhenu Paints a real success story. He holds a deep insight of the global paint industry and in that context leads the Indian paint market through his innovative ideas and progressive visions. एक और चीज़ मैं इसमें ऐड करना चाहूँगा, Kamdhenu Paints आज शायद एक ऐसी ही कंपनी है, एकमात्र कंपनी है जिनका स्टेनर्स आज डंके की चोट में बिकता है और इसमें भी बड़े बड़े ब्रांड्स के बहुत आगे बिकता है. Honesty, transparency, commitment, quality assurance and customer satisfaction of all levels are the bastion of Kamdhenu philosophy. Holding on to these traits, Kamdhenu progresses to greater heights, touching excellence under the dynamic leadership of Mr. Satish Agarwal. Please give a last round of applause and an ovation to Mr. Agarwal for the Lifetime Achievement Award. I would like to call Mr. Agarwal on the dais. मैं श्रीमती अग्रवाल से भी अनुरोध करूंगा कि इस ऐतिहासिक घड़ी में वो भी मंच में आए. उन्होंने कदम से कदम मिलाए हैं तो आज भी कदम मिलाएं इनके साथ में. सचिन जी.
धन्यवाद. मंच पर उपस्थित अध्यक्ष महोदय सागर गोयल जी, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के कन्वीनर्स, उपस्थित डिग्नेटरीज, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, ये बड़ी जिम्मेदारी की बात है कि लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट के बाद मुझे थोड़ा सा एनर्जी वापस और इनपुट मिल रही है कि आने वाले टाइम में शायद मेरी और ज़्यादा जिम्मेदारी बढ़ रही है कि मैं और अच्छे और ताकत से काम करूं। दोस्तों, इप्का की जो कॉन्फ्रेंस है, मैं 2-3 मिनट लूँगा, बहुत ज़्यादा बोलूँगा नहीं, आपको बोर नहीं करूँगा। इसमें बहुत सारे सेशंस होंगे, बहुत सारा आपके लिए नॉलेज के सेशंस होंगे। इसके अलावा मैनेजमेंट ग्रुप भी यहाँ पे बुलाए हुए होंगे सागर जी ने, जो आपको खूब भारी भारी सामान और भारी भारी इंग्लिश में, हिंदी में आपको खूब लोड करेंगे। और आप बोल रहा हूँ, उसके लिए आपको इन्होंने बहुत सारा एंटरटेनमेंट का प्रोग्राम किया है, जिससे कि आप लोग रिलैक्स में रहें। ये 3 दिन तक का सिलसिला ये चलता रहेगा। मैं शॉर्ट में आपसे ये बताना चाहूँगा कि जैसा आप सब लोगों को मालूम है कि पेंट में पिछले 100 साल से ऑलमोस्ट 5-6 कंपनी का जो है वर्चस्व था। उसके बहुत सारे कारण थे, उसमें अपन जाएंगे नहीं। और अचानक बाढ़ आ गई है, अभी बहुत सारी बड़ी बड़ी कंपनी जो है वो पेंट में आना चाह रही हैं, कुछ आ गए हैं, कुछ आने की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, कुछ लोगों ने अपना बैगेज पैक कर लिया है। तो मैं समझता हूँ पूरी इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी भी इंडिया की तरफ देख रही है। जैसे पहले लोगों ने कहा कि भाई इंडिया का फ्यूचर है, इंडिया में बहुत बड़ा एक तरह से हम डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज से डेवलप कंट्रीज की ओर मार्च कर रहे हैं। तो नो डाउट कि पेंट की रिक्वायरमेंट कंट्री में इतनी तेज़ी से सब लोग एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं। 17-18% की एवरेज ग्रोथ आ ही रही है, और जिस तरह से हम लोग फ्यूचर में देख रहे हैं, मैं समझता हूँ कि पेंट का फ्यूचर बहुत अच्छा है। और शायद बड़ा वाइज डिसीजन है जो लोग इसमें पेंट के बिजनेस में आ रहे हैं। इप्का के सभी मेंबर्स हैं, बहुत सारे मेंबर्स हैं, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि सबके लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी रहेगी कि किस तरह से आप लोग इस अपॉर्चुनिटी को ग्रैब करें। इसमें बहुत सारे आपके टेक्निकल सेशंस होंगे, बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपकी आएगी, इसमें डिस्कशन होगा, मार्केटिंग के ऊपर होगा, ब्रांड बिल्डिंग के ऊपर होगा। तो चूँकि ये सब मैं समझता हूँ 2-3 दिन आपका चलने वाला है। मैं इस मौके पे सिर्फ आपसे एक चीज़ शेयर करूँगा, और वो ये है कि जैसे लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट है, तो मैं एक ज़िंदगी का पूरा निचोड़ आपके सामने रख रहा हूँ कि ज़िंदगी में आज जो भी कामयाबी ग्रुप का या मेरा अचीवमेंट है, सिर्फ उसको मैं बहुत कैटेगराइज करता हूँ। अगर लाइफ में आपने ऊंचे चढ़ना है, आगे बढ़ना है, सक्सेस चाहिए, तो सबसे पहले आपको एक अच्छा इंसान होना जरूरी है। हम सब अपने मन में झांके क्या हम अच्छे इंसान हैं, क्योंकि मेरा ये एक्सपीरियंस है। मैं बचपन से बहुत सारे इंडस्ट्रीज को फॉलो करता था, और मैंने देखा है कि आज अगर टॉप पे कोई लोग हैं तो वो लोग हैं जो बहुत अच्छे ह्यूमन बीइंग हैं। तो सबसे पहली रिक्वायरमेंट ये है। और दूसरा, आप कोई भी फील्ड हो, कोई भी आपका बिजनेस हो, छोटा हो बड़ा हो, दैट हार्डली मैटर्स। भसीन जी ने वो बड़ी जल्दी में एक 5 पिलर्स, जो मैं समझता हूँ कि आप बिजनेस कुछ भी कर रहे हो, कैसा भी कर रहे हो, कोई भी प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हो, ये मेरी ज़िंदगी का निचोड़ है कि 5 इम्पॉर्टेंट पिलर्स आप अपनी लाइफ में, आप अपने बिजनेस में अगर बना के रखेंगे तो आपको कोई भी आपका कंपटीटर रोक नहीं पाएगा। सबसे पहला मैं कहता हूँ ऑनेस्टी, नंबर 2 इज द ट्रांसपेरेंसी, नंबर 3 इज द कमिटमेंट, नंबर 4 इज द कस्टमर सेटिस्फैक्शन, और 5th क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस। और इसको मैं ये कहता हूँ कि ये सिर्फ मेरे आपके लिए नहीं है, ये किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में इट शुड बी एट ऑल लेवल्स। CMD के लेवल से लेकर चपरासी तक ये पांचों के पांचों जो पिलर्स हैं वो उसके हाथ में होने चाहिए, तभी कोई बिजनेस आप आगे बढ़ा पाएंगे। और जो काम आप प्यार से कर सकते हैं, मैं समझता हूँ कि आउटपुट उससे मल्टीप्लाई होती है। बिजनेस में नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि लोग सामान बेच रहे हैं, पेमेंट ले रहे हैं, इसमें कहीं कोई रिलेशनशिप दिखती नहीं है। ऐसा समझ लीजिएगा कि जैसे रेलवे स्टेशन पे आप रोड टिकट लेते हैं, चाहे मेट्रो का हो या रेलवे स्टेशन हो, कि रोड टिकट लेते हैं, पेमेंट दे देते हैं, कोई कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है। बिजनेस में आप जब तक अपने एंड यूजर से, अपने कस्टमर से, अपने सप्लायर से, अपने से जुड़े हुए प्रत्येक ट्रांसपोर्टर से, अपने स्टाफ से, सबसे अगर आप कनेक्टेड हैं, आपने एक रिलेशनशिप, फैमिली रिलेशनशिप बनाई है, मैं समझता हूँ वो बिजनेस सक्सेसफुल है, उन लोगों ने मल्टीप्लाई किया है। और शायद इन 5 मंत्र की वजह से आज हम लोग इस पोजीशन में हैं। रोहन जी ने बताया कि आज हमारी 88 यूनिट्स पूरे इंडिया में काम कर रही हैं। और इस साल हम लास्ट ईयर हम लोगों ने 16,000 करोड़ का ब्रांड टर्नओवर किया था, इस बार हाफ में आ गया है, ऑलमोस्ट 22,000 करोड़ का टर्नओवर हम लोग इस साल कवर कर रहे हैं। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि ये एक बिजनेस की सक्सेसफुल के लिए जो आपके बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स हैं, रॉ मटेरियल भी होगा, सेल्स भी होगी, IT भी होगा, प्लेटफॉर्म, बहुत सारे प्लेटफॉर्म आएंगे, वो अपनी जगह है। लेकिन मॉरल और एथिकल वैल्यूज़ वो मेरे को लगता है कि सबसे लाइफ में सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है, हर प्रोफेशन के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो मैं इसके साथ ही इप्का के सभी ऑर्गेनाइजर्स को, सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स को अपनी ओर से बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देना चाहूँगा। आगे 3 दिन आप खूब दिन एंजॉय कीजिए। ऑल द बेस्ट।
Good evening, everybody. Now to introduce the second Lifetime Achievement Award of the day. As everybody has said that we do like to honor people who are really worthy and deserving of this award according to what the committee feels. So this gentleman, he joined his family business in the year 1984 and he completed his science graduation with honors and completed his business management from Women's College, and he's also done courses from UICT, Mumbai, and has a rich experience of more than 3 decades in the paint and construction industry. And his tenure in his company has been very good and recognized by various awards like the Udyog Excellence Award, the Outstanding SME Paint and Coating Sector by EPC and PricewaterhouseCoopers, Artist in Concrete Award by the Asia Fest Verifier, and the ET Now Award, and various national and international accolades. So I present to you Mr. Anil Parekh of Golabhi Paints Private Limited, Mumbai. I request him to come forward and request Jatin to host Mr. Anil Parekh on stage. We are really honored to have him here with us. And I request Sagar to please do the honors. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lifetime Achievement Award is something which shows how much the person has achieved in life.
On this very beautiful occasion, I would request Mrs. Parekh also to please come on stage. And I also request Rajiv Parekh to please come on stage. Please.
भाभी
थैंक यू। ये आप लोग का बड़प्पन है एंड 40 इयर्स सब लोग ने काफ़ी सब बातचीत की
एंड जैसा आपने बोला सर, नींव जो है इंटीग्रिटी, ऑनेस्टी, ट्रांसपेरेंसी, उसके सिवा धंधा कर नहीं पाएंगे. आज इट हैज़ बीन अ ब्यूटिफुल जर्नी, roller coaster journey of 40 years, colorful journey in this industry, and it has given a lot to us, family, friends, and without this love and affection, I don't think people can sustain for 40 to 50 years in the industry. Secondly, we were talking about unicorns. I will not take much time because everybody is ready to get entertained. एक भी यूनिकॉर्न दिखा है ब्रिक एंड मॉर्टर का. See, we all have to think differently. Today, I remember maybe मंडोत्रा जी है नहीं यहाँ पे. 20 साल हो गए. I was the youngest president elected for this paint association. And we had a conference in Bangalore. So just an idea cropped up at that time to grow. See, we all have our limitations, whatever challenges, limitations, but we have to be fearless. And fearless means not reckless. So a thought came up, and making a conglomerate or an association of manufacturers to work in alliance. And myself, that is Godavari Paints and Bangalore Paints, people must be knowing the name of course, did some arrangement as to how we can synchronize our interest and grow. And we both, Sanjay and we were lucky with that association or that arrangement of growth or alliance or synergy went through very smoothly for 4 to 5 years, then things changed. But today, we all are in one family. We will have to change our mindset, that is what I feel, to grow and do something differently and take advantage of the capacities which are lying idle. Maybe the production capacity or the zeal of the entrepreneurs, where we have to be selfless. If something has to happen, to take on the minds of whatever people who are there or people who might come. Our industry जैसा है, इतना रिवर है या सागर है, जितने जन आएंगे उसके लिए शेयर है. But if we have to do something different, it requires a lot of efforts and mind storming and coming together, making a structure or strategy, and definitely things can work out. We are maybe around 3,000 per family, 3,000 people as a family. How much strength we have, but are we able to harness that and come together in some way or the other to supplement, complement and grow in totality? And once again, I have received lots of love from our family members, that is our paint association members, and I wish that further next time we maybe down the line 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, we may require a stadium for the association to have this kind of conference. Once again, thank you everyone for your love and support, and still I would wish, again, I think that I would be the youngest paint manufacturer to get a lifetime award. I was the youngest president elected. Once again, thank you very much. This will give us further energy.
Well, those were incredibly inspiring moments that we all witnessed and experienced together. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last few years, the pandemic truly engulfed the planet, and some of us went through a really difficult experience where we had to bid a bitter goodbye to some of our dear and loved ones. Here at IPCA, in loving memory and honor of the members who no longer walk the planet along with us, but continue to live within our hearts, we will be paying respect and our homage. I invite your precious attention towards the screen as we will be paying our respect to the members, late Shri Joy Paraka, late Shri Nishant Shah, late Shri Manmohan Sachdev, late Shri Baljeet Singh Guglani ji, late Shri Gopal Krishna Brijmohan Loyalkar, late Shri Uday Veer Singh Yadav, late Shri Jai Singh Yadav, late Shri Hemant Nayak, late Shri Chandresh Bhai Parekh, late Pradeep Kumar Bansal, late Shri Harkesh Singh Sahani. I now request our convener, Mr. Jatin Agarwal, to kindly come forward and do the proceeding.
दोस्तों, हमारी इंडस्ट्री के कुछ पिलर्स को हमने खोया है लास्ट 2 सालों के अंदर, और उनमें से हम लोगों ने एक ऐसे व्यक्तित्व को खोया है जिन्होंने इस इंडस्ट्री के रॉ मटेरियल ट्रेड में, मिनरल ट्रेड के अंदर पायनियर स्टेटस का हमको एक इंडस्ट्री दिया। श्री चंद्रेश भाई पारेख जी वॉज द फाउंडर ऑफ 20 माइक्रॉन्स लिमिटेड, और मेरे ख्याल से शायद ही कोई पेंट इंडस्ट्री में होगा जो उनको याद ना करता हो, उनसे मिल के खुशी उसने प्राप्त ना करी हो, ज्ञान ना प्राप्त किया हो। He was a visionary leader of great intellect, impeccable techno-commercial skills and tough mindset. He was the pioneer to visualize the importance of manufacturing micronized and nanominerals in India and implemented the same, which had become a boon to the paint, plastic and many other industries who were absolutely import dependent. He was a real flag bearer of Atmanirbhar Bharat, Government of India initiative. He was a friend, philosopher and guide for all of us. I've had the pleasure of visiting him, meeting him and discussing with him in numerous exhibitions, and I think in the humility of that person and the simplicity and the minutest detailing of technology was unparalleled. It was his leadership acumen that led to the growth of the company and being recognized all over the world. His calm attitude, confident smile and fatherly behavior will always remain in our memories. Also, his contribution for the social welfare will be ever remembered by millions of citizens. He will remain with us forever, and his visionary ideologies will always inspire us to fulfill his dream. We all pray to the Almighty for his eternal peace for his departed soul. I request Shri Atal Bhai Parekh ji to please come on stage so that we can remember Bauji and just give our homage. दोस्तों, ये उदासी का समय है, लेकिन ये एक सेलिब्रेशन का भी समय है. I think this man who we have lost was a great gentleman and he has contributed great to our organization. उनको याद करते वक्त एक बार जोरदार तालियां उस दिवंगत आत्मा के लिए. I would request our past president, Mr. Amit Mishra ji, to also please come on stage. इप्का का एक, जैसे संजीव जी ने बताया, पहला बाइनियल कॉन्फ्रेंस हमारा आगरा में हुआ था, और वो वक्त से लेके आज तक सबसे एक्टिव रीजन हमारा अगर कभी रहा है तो वो इप्का आगरा रीजन. और उस एक्टिव रीजन के 2 सबसे एक्टिव मेंबर्स जिनसे हमने बहुत प्यार पाया, जो हमारे दोनों पास चेयरमैन थे, बहुत अनफॉर्चुनेटली उनका आज हमारे पास प्यार नहीं है, उनकी आज हमारे पास अटेंडेंस नहीं है. Shri Pradeep Bansal ji, Pradeep Kumar Bansal ji, Ankit Industries, was a pioneer in paint manufacturing industry in Agra region. He was known for his soft nature and gentleness. Everyone in the paint fraternity admired him for his dedication towards his work. He always guided everyone with open heart and was source of excellence. His demise was a big loss and can't be replaced. He will always remain in our heart. इप्का के लिए कोई व्यक्ति धन देता है, कोई व्यक्ति अपना श्रम देता है. इस व्यक्ति ने जब भी हमारा इवेंट कहीं पर भी हुआ, पूरे रीजन को अपने साथ लेके आए और कितने ही प्रेसिडेंट्स आए हमारे यहाँ पे और प्रेसिडेंट्स गए, बट प्रदीप जी का प्यार हर प्रेसिडेंट को उस रीजन से मिला है. आज वो हमारे बीच में नहीं है. हम उनको याद करते हुए हम आगरा रीजन के चेयरमैन सार्थक जी को स्टेज पर बुलाना चाहेंगे कि उनको उनकी याद में, क्योंकि उनके परिवार से कोई आ ना सका क्योंकि कुछ विदेश में थे, तो हम उनको याद करना चाहते हैं. एट द सेम टाइम हम लोगों ने एक और 5 प्रेसिडेंट जी को खोया है जो कि वृद्धावस्था में हमसे पिछड़े हैं, और मैंने उनके साथ काम कर रखा है. जब वो सेक्रेटरी थे, उसके बाद वो वाइस चेयरमैन बने, फिर चेयरमैन बने, और हरकेश साहनी जी को जितने भी लोगों से मिले हैं उनकी ह्यूमिलिटी और वो डाउन टू अर्थ रखते थे. आगरा केमिकल्स के मालिक थे, एंड आई थिंक ही वाज अ प्रोमिनेंट एंड लीडिंग केमिकल्स सप्लायर. ही वाज नोन फॉर हिज ऑनेस्टी एंड हार्ड वर्क. हिज थॉट्स एंड आइडियाज आर अवर गाइडिंग लाइट्स एंड वी मिस हिम टू. वी हैव द फैमिली मेंबर्स ऑफ श्री हरकेश साहनी जी, और मैं उनसे रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा तो कृपा करके स्टेज पे आए और हम उनको श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित कर सकें. Also, I will request Sarthak to please come on stage. And if you can escort them on stage, please. I will request our dear patron and past president, Shri Anil Khanna ji, to please come on stage.
Good evening, all the dignitaries sitting on the dais of Ipca. I'm son of late Sri Harkesh Singh Sahani ji, and on behalf of myself, Chand Sahani, my brother Mr. Dheeraj, our firm sellers, and my father, Agra Chemicals formerly, I'd like to say that we are overwhelmed and we pay our sincere gratitude to all of you for this kind tribute and enabling us to witness this, be a part of this, and definitely we will continue our association with Ipca, which my father has started, has calculated. Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take this evening ahead. Up next is an address by a wonderful keynote speaker, CEO, Indian Organics Limited. May we please have with a huge round of applause on the stage, Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi. With a big round of applause, we will welcome Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi. I request Mr. Rajiv Parekh to kindly accompany Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi. I request our convener to felicitate Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi. Dr. Sanjay Chaturvedi is the Executive Director and CEO of IOL Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals Limited. He's a seasoned global business executive having worked in the specialty chemicals and pharmaceutical industry for over 26 years in companies like Praj Industries, Dr. Reddy's, Aurobindo Pharma, Dow Chemicals and Roman Haas.
The Dolomite, I've been listening to a lot of very interesting observations and words told by some of the industry experts. I'm not a paint expert, but my observation about this industry is where the shoe is pinching. This is not a product industry. It's a service industry. You know, if you think about we buy an automobile, let's say 20 lakh car. We will not give it to any mechanical service. We go to the showroom. Here we will really buy 3 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore flat. And that paint service will be provided by the person who is not even qualified or certified. Excuse me, sir, it's not yet. Okay, so I'll talk from here then. Is this better? Okay. The point I'm making is that, you know, if we buy an automobile that is worth maybe 20 lakhs, we will always get it serviced by a certified mechanic. But when we buy a home and we want that painted, that painting is done by a person who is not certified by anybody. We have no idea हमें क्या मिलने वाला है till the product is over. So I think we need to think of this industry not like a product industry, but like a service industry. There was a lot of talk about unicorns and so forth. There is no reason why a MSME company cannot partner with the urban clubs of the world and go nationwide in 1 month. It's a question of providing that service. And really, we recently bought a home and we got it painted. The paint job was fine, but the cleanup wasn't. So we need to think of it as an ecosystem and the total support. And as I was driving this morning from Ludhiana, I passed Panipat. You know, Panipat is where April 20th, 1526, the first battle of Panipat took place between Ibrahim Lodi and Babur. If you look at all data points, there is no way Babur should have won that battle. His army was 1/50th the size of Ibrahim Lodi's army. He had 0 elephants. In fact, his army had never seen an animal as large as an elephant. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, India was lost to the Mughals in 4-hour battle. In 4 hours, the startup beat the large company. So there are a lot of lessons that we can draw from history about what really took place. And one needs to remember, even Asian Paints was once an MSME. So, you know, I think the answer is within us, and we need to explore. Don't think of it as a product company. Think of it as a service company, and think more like a startup if you want to beat an incumbent. And remember, it doesn't matter what the industry is. Change is always brought by somebody from the outside, never an insider. Because the bottleneck is always at the top of the bottle. Tesla was an unknown company a few years ago. Today, the market cap of Tesla is more than the top 50 automotive competitors put together. Think about the design, think about how it gets used. So, thank you all, and you know, I want to give a disclaimer that I know what I know and I don't know what I don't know. You know, so everybody has their unique perspective, and I'm limited by my own experiences as well. Here is an interesting slide that was a picture of the year last year in National Geographic. And if you look at this image, it looks like, you know, horses walking in a desert. But if you actually blow up that image, it is actually a drone shot of zebras walking, and what you see in the first image is the shadow of those zebras. So I think if you have a keen sense of observation, you will miss the illusion and get past the illusion. So what we feel today is, between a recession and war and, volatility and raw material prices going up, there was a report from, I believe, Bank of America that said they expected oil to be at about $160. Today, ladies and gentlemen, oil is at about half of that. So we often feel that we are in the center of this perfect storm. And while you cannot control, the wind, you can only adjust your sail. And that's the message I want to leave you with. So a lot of people present in this room today want to create a business, and people want to build a global empire. But the reality is, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So you ask yourself 3 questions, what do we do? You will say, well, we make paint and we sell paint. How do you do it? I have 5 plants, or I have 88 plants, or I have a dealer network, and that's how I do it. The third, which is the most important question, is why do you do it? And take the equation of money outside why. And I've been working in the corporate area for about 27 years now. I would say there are 2 out of maybe 500 instances where the promoter of a company or the owner of a company is able to articulate why are they in this business. And I think companies that are able to articulate the why will have a very long assured success. So, really, what is culture? This morning I was reading on LinkedIn, Mr. Harsh Mariwala wrote a wonderful piece. It talked about why are you not growing? You are not growing because you are too busy. Why are you so busy? You are so busy because you are not delegating. Why are you not delegating? Because you don't have the right talent. Why don't you have the right talent? Because you don't have the right culture. Why don't you have the right culture? Because you have no purpose other than money. So we talk about culture, but what is culture? Here is my personal definition. Culture of any organization is determined by the behavior exhibited or tolerated by the leader. So if somebody is showing bad behavior, and if you are tolerating it only because that person is an excellent salesperson, your culture is ruined. So this is really time for introspection to figure out how do we want to define the culture of our own organization. And whether you look at Towers Perrin or Deloitte or any of the big HR consulting firms, they will design extremely elaborate questionnaires on qualitatively how you measure culture. But in my experience, there is one simple question that you need to answer. Ask maybe 100 people in your organization, do you aspire to be like your supervisor or your manager? And the answer is a binary answer. It's either a yes or a no. If 80% of people say yes, then your culture is right. If most of them either don't know or say no, then you need to fix that culture. Now, what is the litmus test for culture? I have these 3 very simple metrics. Number 1 is, how are you treated at the reception of an organization when you go as a salesperson? It's like that famous Tom Cruise movie where he's trying to woo this lady almost for the entire movie, and at the end of it, she says, you had me at hello. So, how you treat people at the reception. Do you even have a proper reception? Do you have the courtesy to offer water, clean rest areas, coffee, just for a waiting area? That to me is a very single important determinant of what is the culture in your organization. Second is how do you treat vendors? Not only when they come to your office, but when they call you on the phone and somebody you don't know, they are trying to sell a product or a service or some software. Do you even direct them to the right person within your organization, or you just say, "Mera time nahi hai," or "I can't be bothered with this, I'm too busy"? And the third is, please understand that in today's world, other than owners of companies, employees will come and go. There is nothing you can do to change that. The average age of an employee in an organization is less than 5 years. This used to be about 10 years ago, and 20 years ago this number used to be about 20 years. Today, the young generation, the Gen Z, is not as patient. They want quick results. And if they don't get it, they move on. The good news is there is ample opportunity for them to move on, and this opportunity simply did not exist in India 20 years ago. So how do you treat them when they leave? Do you even do exit interviews? Is there a formal mechanism in your organization to understand that out of 100 people that left, 80 left because they were simply disengaged? Why were they disengaged, and what are you doing to fix it? I think these three things really determine what the culture is. Culture is not determined by a ping pong table and free coffee and free food and all the gizmos. It's how you treat people, how you treat your customers, how you treat your vendors, and most importantly, how do you treat your employees. So here is an example, one of my favorite examples of Microsoft. Please notice that when the founder, Mr. Bill Gates, was running the company, you see very little appreciation in the stock price. He is the founder of the company. Then Mr. Steve Ballmer takes over, and for a period of almost 13 or 14 years, there is zero appreciation in the price of a company. And then Mr. Satya Nadella takes over in 2014. And ladies and gentlemen, the market cap of Microsoft today is half the GDP of India. Let me repeat that figure once again. The market cap of Microsoft today is half the GDP of India. What changed? Do you think, Mr. Bill Gates was less committed to his organization than Satya Nadella is? No. I think the big change was they moved as an organization from a know-it-all to a learn-it-all culture. And that had a very profound impact on the way they looked at products, on the way they looked at customers, and the way they did business. So here is, some of the myths of cultural fit. I sat through endless HR training programs, and it was drilled into me that, we have to hire a candidate that is a cultural fit for us. I personally believe that we should forget about cultural fit. That was the old way to look at things. You have to look for cultural assimilation. Because when you hire for a cultural fit, you are assuming that my culture is superior to yours. Maybe the other person is going to come in and teach you something that you don't know. You need to hire people who have very different perspectives. And different perspectives, not just in terms of gender, but they should come from different places. They should have had different life experiences. They should come from a different education background. If you look at McKinsey, which is arguably one of the most successful management consulting companies, the secret sauce of their success is they don't hire all MBAs. In every project that they take on, the team that they allocate is people with very different education backgrounds. We live in India where if you study economics, you will either go into academia or you might go into banking or financial services. You look at the West, economists and sociologists and anthropologists are the most sought after educational degrees for tech companies. Why? Why are they thinking so differently, whereas we are simply following a very traditional path. I think the core message I want to leave you with is, please hire people that are different from you. They may make you uncomfortable, they may be outliers, but those are the people you need to pay a lot of attention to. So here is an example, what are the countries with high human development index? And you see the dark grays in North America, Europe and Australia. If you look at the core of why, it's not that they have more money, therefore they have high human development index. It's actually flipped. Because they have a high human development index, they are economically more prosperous. So, one thing common between all the countries with high HDI is that they have a common law, very egalitarian. There is no separate, Hindu United Family Law, religions will be treated separately. If you are a minority, we will treat you separately. One common law that applies to all citizens. These are countries that are celebrating diversity. You have a lot of immigrants. So today we celebrate, Indian immigrants going out and do remarkably well. Why are not we embarrassed or ashamed about the fact that foreign immigrants don't get anywhere in India? Are we assuming that we are somehow better? Because that diversity of people brings diversity of thought, and that is imperative to innovation. Which brings me to the third point, which is all these countries have a very high risk appetite. We are sitting here in a coatings association where butyl acrylate and monomethyl acrylate or a styrene a copolymer with an acrylic. Ladies and gentlemen, none of it was invented in India. It was made cheaper in India. And by the way, the monomers are still not made in India. So you need incredible appetite for risk in R&D and innovation if you want to be different. Otherwise, if the only tool in your toolbox is a hammer, every problem will look like a nail. You will simply try to make a product cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And yet, if that was the only solution, we would all be driving Tata Nanos, right? It's the cheapest car. Yet we don't. So simply going to low cost is not a solution. It's an illusion. So what does this mean for companies? So if you want to build an organization that is truly global and aspires for a high development index in the corporate sense, you need to treat people equally. What that means is, when you go into a high-rise building, you cannot have a separate director's elevator. You cannot have reserved parking. In fact, it's almost laughable that in most organizations, the people who have reserved parking are the people who don't need it because they have drivers. So, we need to flip this actually in terms of where is the opportunity? Are you really treating people equally? Do you have diversity of talent? Or does your organization look like clones of each other? And finally, on R&D investment, you have to play to win and not play not to lose. It's not that I'm putting money into R&D because I need to do something. You need to believe in it to a point that you will cross the hurdle. So if I think about, why do companies struggle to make it? The number one reason is this famous character Dhritarashtra. So what I mean by Dhritarashtra is, I am so blinded out of love for my son, daughter, nephew, rishtedar, gaonwala, ethnicity, whatever, that meritocracy be damned. It is a given that I am going to create this company and hand it over to the next generation. Whether they deserve it, whether they are capable, are they better than me, none of those questions are asked. And you please compare it to the West, where this is not even an issue. There is something culturally about us where instead of preparing our children for the road, we want to prepare the road for the children. This is a train to nowhere in terms of global scale. The second reason why we don't make it is Mogambo Huswa. And what that means is the entire organization has one objective: to somehow make the top dog happy. Truth becomes irrelevant. As long as Mogambo is happy, you are happy, your career is fine. The third reason is, this famous movie, Kalia, which says, हम जहाँ शुरू होते हैं, लाइन वहीं से खड़ी होती है. हम जहाँ खड़े होते हैं, लाइन वहीं से शुरू होती है. Basically what this means is, I have no system, I have no process, I am the system. My word is the law. Now if you behave like that, you cannot scale up a business. You can only scale up a process. You cannot scale up people. So this first amongst equals and I don't need a system or a process and my word is the law, that needs to change. Now these are very simple, humorous messages that I've given, but they have very deep implications on how we think about our organizations. Two simple rules I like to live by. One is the X plus 2 rule and the other is the X minus 2 rule. The X plus 2 rule means that if I'm hiring somebody as a regional head for sales, I should take into consideration that this person or candidate must have the potential of doing a job at least 2 levels higher than what I'm hiring this person for. Otherwise, in 2 years, you're going to lose this person. If you expect to keep an employee for 5 years or more, you've got to follow this principle. The other principle you need to lose is the X minus 2 principle, which is, I have a well-defined hierarchy. I am currently the CEO of IOL. I need some information about the chemicals business, but rather than going to Sanjeev Dua, who's my chemicals BU head, I reach out to 3 levels below in his team. I will surely get that information faster. But what is the message I am giving? The message I am giving to his team is, you are irrelevant. I don't really need you. So I have already disengaged that employee from that point onwards. So please, the higher you go up, resist the urge to go multiple layers below to get information about your organization. So here is one of my famous pictures, from 1927, Solvay conference. This was a group of scientists and physicists who simply got together for a weekend of discussing physics. They were collaborators, they were competitors, they were peers, and this is before the age of internet. 29 people got together in the city of Solvay outside of Brussels to discuss physics. What is remarkable is that 17 out of these 29 people went on to win a Nobel Prize. So, our parents have always told us, make good friends, make good... The reason is they will impact your thought process. So, we need to hire people that are actually better than us and not be threatened what if they take our job. If they take our job, that's even great because I will naturally move up. So, stop that. And here is, the way I think about companies. On left, I have an axis of decision making, and on Y, I have the axis of executing that decision. The best run companies make decisions in a democratic way, but they execute them in an autocratic way. And the worst run companies make decisions in an autocratic way and execute them in a democratic way. So you need to figure out on this two-dimensional spectrum where you lie. You need to reward failures. So as an organization, if you're not failing at anything, I was very enthused, Kamdhenu Paints, they came from an entirely different industry and yet successful in paints. And there are industries from the paint group that have been at this for decades. How did Kamdhenu see an opportunity that you did not? You need to reward failures. And if you're not learning from your failures, you have a problem. We have a lot of kick-off meetings. We have a lot of celebrations of things done well. You know, I achieved 100 crores of revenue in this region or 1,000 crores in exports and is celebrated. But I will never celebrate a failure. Why? If you don't celebrate failure, that means you are not taking the learning from that failure and disseminating that within your organization. Don't try to hide failures. If you fail enough, you will succeed. So here are a couple of things what not to do. Micromanagement, small scale thinking, and very important in today's world. If you treat your employees like employees, they will behave like employees. Please do not make the mistake of saying we are one family. No. You are the owner. The employees are employees. Treat them like equity partners. Why do you see a lot of young generation going to all the unicorns that you mentioned? By the way, one thing common amongst all those unicorns, every employee has equity and stock options. So you want to replicate that financial behavior, start replicating that management behavior as well. Because the second one is an outcome of the first one. Do not ignore Generation Z. They are super smart, they are more talented.
In his talk, President IPCA, Mr. Sagar Goyal, presenting a token of appreciation to
Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi. Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi, I have a quick question, very pressing question. Would you happen to remember the name of the Tom Cruise movie that you mentioned? Asking for a friend.
Jerry Maguire.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, we are excited to hear the address from the editor, Paint India. Let's welcome with a huge round of applause, Mr. Dilip Raghavan. I request Mr. Jason Parikh to accompany him to the stage. And we request our convener to felicitate Mr. Dilip Raghavan. Warm welcome, Mr. Raghavan.
दोस्तों हम जानते हैं आज थोड़ा प्रोग्राम लेट हो रखा है, but I think we have saved the best for last. I think the brain and the knowledge of this person is second to none in paint industry. Just be patient with us. We know we are late, but he will take just 10 minutes, and after that we'll come to closure. So nice of you. Thank you.
And Mr. Dilip Raghavan is the Managing Director of Color Publications Private Limited, a graduate in engineering from Mumbai University. He has pioneered many innovations in the publication. Color Publications is the publisher of Paint India, the only periodical focused on paint industry in India, recording the progress of the industry for over 6 decades. Mr. Raghavan is an excellent orator and has been an old and trusted friend of the coating industry and shoulders the responsibility and pleasure of being the mouthpiece for the fraternity. And he's going to talk about India at 75 at the crossroads of opportunity. Please, Mr. Raghavan.
Good evening, everyone. Lovely to be back in Delhi. Even better that it's on the platform of Ipca. Interesting timing. Immediately after Sanjay Chaturvedi, just before the cocktails and dinner. Thanks to our two conveners, Sanjeev and Jatin, they're the Bonnie and Clyde of our industry. Who needs enemies when you have such friends, right? Anyway, so let me not indulge in any cheap jokes now, because I have a small message to convey. Basically, whatever else I might choose to call my presentation, it's basically a reinforcement of the sense of belonging, a reinforcement of the sense of pride, and a reinforcement of the sense of opportunity that I strongly believe in, that I have adopted as a growth mantra for myself, and I believe is completely applicable to the paint industry today. So, this is what my presentation says. This is a very quick agenda. I'm not going to take more than 10 to 12 minutes. I'll try and cover each point and see how it logically plugs into the next one. So, as we all know, we've just completed 75 years of our independence. And while it numerically lies between 50 and 100, as we all know, there is a very deep relevance to where we are today in the context of where we were 25 years ago and where we foresee ourselves to be 25 years from now. Let's have a quick look at this and please try and understand the gravity of what this slide says that goes beyond numbers. 50, India at 50, if you go back into the mid to late 90s, it was the beginning of economic liberalization, and complete credit to the regime of the day back then. A lot of the good things that we are seeing today in our economy and consequently in our industry is due to the conviction and the policies that were actually introduced back then. We must also understand that in the geopolitical context we are facing a lot of headwinds. Every time we try to make progress in the global context, we were pulled back by various geopolitical forces. The Kashmir bogie would be raised, the nuclear blast, Pokhran trials would be raised as an excuse to impose sanctions against us, and it was almost a case of one step forward and one step back. I'll come to the relevance of that in today's context going ahead. In terms of numbers, our population was about 1 billion and our per capita GDP was about $430 US per person, which means we had a GDP consolidated of about $500 million. Cut to today, 25 years later, and let's see where we are. We are making the transition steadily with very pleasing progress, moving from a developing economy rapidly towards a developed economy. Look at the geopolitical headwinds, and this is a very, very important factor that we do not sometimes understand where we are right now today in the global context. The same India which was threatened with sanctions at the drop of a hat is today being looked upon as a global savior. Okay, we are the people who produced vaccines and supplied it to the world when the world was going through a crisis. India is still looked upon as the stable force in this particular transient region that we are in South Asia. The best part about it is when the whole world is struggling, trying to figure out what's going to be happening in the Ukraine-Russia thing, trying to impose sanctions, India is the country which is actually being allowed, being given a free hand to import oil from Russia. Try and understand what this means for us in the terms of the strength and influence that we are beginning to exert in the global arena. In terms of numbers, population has grown from 1 billion to 1.4 billion, and we are at a consolidated GDP of about $3.1 trillion, which means a per capita GDP of about 2,250. So we can already see the progress in terms of numbers, in terms of the influence where we've gone from 50 to 75. Look ahead towards 100, and let me now start with the numerical part of it. Hopefully the population will not grow as dramatically as it has grown there, but I see the population being at about 1.65 billion. And even if I look at very modest growth figures, I'm still not factoring in a lot of intrinsic unlocked value that we should be unlocking. I'm just going with the organic growth that we have followed, and I think we will be at a very conservative level at a per capita GDP of about $9,000 US, which suddenly puts us in a sweet spot of about a minimum GDP of $15 trillion. This number suddenly starts looking very interesting. And as I said, believe me, there is going to be a huge unlocking of value far beyond this. But let's even go with minimalism right now. Look at where we will be in the geopolitical spectrum now. We've gone past the stage of being threatened or being not being pushovers. So as I said, we've gone from geopolitical headwinds geopolitical tailwinds, and I see that when India is at 100 in about 2047, we will have gone beyond this, and we will actually be a geopolitical leader. We will be looked up by the entire globe as an example, as a factor of stability, as a factor of fairness, as a factor of growth who's actually going to be leading the world into the next era. So obviously this will also mean a very developed economy. With it will come infrastructure, with it will come a huge amount of consumption. It should also mean significant progress on the social front. It should mean a lot of progress on the health front, and it should mean a lot of progress on the education front. So I put these in italics because we are still not there, but it is a wish list, and I think we will make significant progress there because all the good things that we foresee will be incomplete if we are not able to progress in terms of social, health and education parameters. So what does this actually mean? This changing global order that we are talking about, this progress that we are talking about, what does it mean for the country, for the economy, and later we'll see what it means for our industry. So we are already sitting on a very, very rich demographic dividend. If you look at, and what this means is we have a very, very young and productive workforce, which is going to propel the industrial growth going ahead, and it's also going to propel the consumerism, which is going to be the cornerstone of any burgeoning or any increasing growing economy. Food security. Nobody ever spoke about this, but if there's one thing that the Ukraine war and some of these other upheavals have taught us, it is that you look at powers like Europe, okay, traditional powers like Europe, they've been brought to their knees just because of lack of food security or a lack of adequate food sources. India is in a blessed position to be self-sufficient in its food. Energy security, we are not quite there, but I think there's a lot of right moves being made, and I think there will be further steps being taken towards ensuring that India is energy self-sufficient in the space of energy. So again, it's a very, very important factor, and I think we will do well there. Balance between growth and inflation. Growth and inflation are two factors that are always at loggerheads with each other. But if you look at the kind of growth that India has been showing, and consider the fact that in most inflation indicators we are still in single digits, I think it's a remarkable achievement which we do not pay enough credits to. So I think we are on the right path in terms of achieving this balance with such a very sustained growth. The democracy that we sometimes scoff at. Now, this is going to be very, very important in terms of ensuring social harmony, in terms of the image that we exude to the world. Try and understand that the world is now increasingly looking upon India as a shining light. I've already mentioned it. And this democracy is going to be a very, very important factor going ahead. The political stability. I am not referring to political stability as favoring one particular dispensation. It simply means that there is a democracy, there is a democratic process, and whichever government of the day is elected is able to carry forward the good work that has been done behind it, and there is a sustenance of policy by and large, which is very, very important for a country like ours. I already spoke about the convergence of favorable geopolitical factors. This is going to be very, very important in terms of how we progress as a country and how we are looked upon as by the outside world. I keep stressing upon this because a lot of the growth is going to come from investments from outside India, and the investment regime has to be favorable in terms of the perception of how the outside world looks at us. We all know about the China +1 policy. China is doing itself no favors in terms of how the world is looking at it, and it's only getting worse. If you also look at traditional powerhouses like Europe, they are dwindling in terms of their economic and geopolitical influence. If you look at China, you look at Bangladesh, you look at Vietnam, which are, of course, peer economies which are also doing reasonably well. They all have limiting factors, either in terms of political stability, either in terms of, let's say, the humanitarian aspect of how the world looks at it. You look at the energy self-sufficiency, you look at food. Every country has a limitation, and India, strangely and pleasantly for us as Indians, is the only one which seems to be sitting in a particular sweet spot in this particular, let's say, difficult situation for the world. And as I said, we are being looked upon as a beacon of stability in this crazy transient world that we're living in. Good. So this was a bit of background established. Now, people are going to say, what's up, what is in it for our industry? So, obviously, the factors, I'm not going to go into depth in this, a lot of it is based on common sense. We're going to need more houses, we're going to need more infrastructure. The automotive industry, which was the only industry which was actually, being a laggard in the last couple of years, has actually shown a rebound. So, if there was one cylinder which was not firing, even that has started firing. More disposable incomes, greater aspirations of the youth, greater aspirations of the common man. All of this is going to fuel consumerism. All of this is going to fuel infrastructure, housing, which means good times for our paint industry. We must also remember that there is a lot of disruption in technology. A lot of alternate materials are going to be used, a lot of alternate manufacturing practices are going to be used, and we as an industry, in this limited time, I'm not going to be able to do justice to that, but we must be nimble-footed, agile and receptive to new ideas, so that we can, as a paint industry, be step in step, walk in harmony with these changes and capitalize on the opportunities that are going to be presenting themselves. Export opportunities. As manufacturing becomes more and more lopsided in favor of certain countries and becomes less desirable in some countries, there are going to be huge export opportunities for our industry in paints, in raw materials and finished products. So we must be aware and cognizant of this. This is the point I wanted to make. Now, everyone is going to be a bit cynical and say, yes, we all agree that there are big opportunities for the paint industry, but it's all the big guns who are making, the new companies who are making big investments. Existing companies are augmenting their existing capacities, and if that wasn't enough, now there are building material giants who are coming in here. So allow me to show two examples which you will agree are logically very, very correct, and will help you reinforce the thought process that the death knell for the MSME, which everyone is happy to ring, is just a myth. Have a quick look at this. Okay? At first glance, you are looking at a box of tennis balls and you say, this is practically full, what is the empty space? Just trust me on the mathematics, I've done it. If you actually look at the whole volume of the cylinder, take away the volume of the tennis balls which seem to occupy the lion's share of that space, there is still a 33% empty space in that. So what I'm trying to say here is, even if you assume that it's the big companies who are taking away everything, there is still a 33% gap, and these are the unmet needs of the paint industry, of the customers that big companies may not be able to fulfill, either on account of capacity, because they don't want to get into small end products, either in terms of technology, because they're not interested in those technologies, either in terms of geography, or multiple factors. Also, please try and understand, there is nothing that stops you from becoming a component of the larger scale that is there. There are enough leading lights in our industry who have made this transition from being MSMEs once upon a time into the big league. So please dwell on this, and also try and understand that when it will actually become apparent in the next slide. So, the jungle path paradigm. If you look at the first picture on the top, it suggests that this is an impenetrable jungle. There's nothing to be done out there. You can't go ahead. Bring in the large players, the elephants, as I say. Bring in the large players who are coming into the industry now. These are the players who are going to be creating new paths that our industry thought impossible till today. And as you know, once the elephant walks through, it creates a path which is then not a path exclusive for itself. It's also a path that it has created for other animals in the jungle. Which means in the context of our industry, these big players coming in together, jostling for market share, trying to find new applications, trying to find new geographies, trying to find new avenues of business, they're going to be creating new opportunities which are also going to be opportunities for the MSME industry. Which means the size of the basket or the size of the pie is actually going to be increasing. And this is something that would not have been possible if we were existing in the status quo that was there. So what does this do? I call it the pull effect. It's going to introduce a regime of policies and regulations which are going to become more favorable for our industry. Earlier there were 2 or 3 companies who were trying to shout themselves from the rooftop saying our industry should not be in the red category. Our industry needs to be recognized as eco-friendly industry. Our industry needs to be recognized as an industry that is not into luxury, it is into essentials. So all of these factors are going to be, become more conducive for the growth of our industry, because you're going to have the heavyweights who are actually going to be pushing for these kind of reforms. Education and technology. There was a talk on how manpower is going to become a limiting factor. As the industry becomes more competitive, we have already seen the kind of pay scales that are there in our industry are no more, lopsided. We still, the kind of salaries that our industry is actually paying now is on par with some of the other industries, the sunrise industries as they call it. So we're going to be attracting better manpower into our industry. We're going to be having a better quality of education. We're going to be getting more technology. Hopefully this will also mean that the educational institutes can engage more with the industry. Hopefully it can create a reservoir of manpower that is going to fuel the growth of the industry. Raw material and application technology. There are many companies who still do not want to come and participate in the Indian growth story. I'm talking of paints, saying that, you know what, our technology seems over-engineered for the Indian industry because it's a cost-sensitive market, it's a commodity market. Now, as companies come, compete and try and achieve a certain sense of differentiation, these raw material companies are going to see an opportunity. They are going to come and empower our industry, and they are going to teach us new avenues of growth that we have hitherto not been exposed to. Global visibility. Again, collectively as an industry, the kind of vibes we are exuding, the kind of visibility, the kind of respect we are getting on a global platform is going to be increasing significantly because there's going to be a numeric increase. The size of the industry, the competition is going to give birth to a lot more good things that as I said, and this is going to actually make us look better in the global context, and that's going to bring a lot of positive pull effects that come along with it. Investments, I already spoke about this. So we need investments in our country. One thing that we must understand is when a conglomerate like a Biennal or a JSW or one of these companies chooses to invest into the paint industry, never mind the existing capacities of the majors being augmented. These are publicly listed companies who are held accountable to their shareholders, and they choose to invest their free cash flow into the paint industry. What does it say about the fortunes and the health of our paint industry? And the very fact that these companies choose to do it, it is going to attract a lot of other investments from the global peers right across the supply chain. Partnering possibilities. We always look at it in a confrontational sense. A new company coming is only going to eat up into our market share. There's going to be a huge lateral supply chain that's going to be created because many of these companies want to operate on a pan-India scale. Now, this is going to be a challenge because they don't necessarily want to spend the time, money, effort, or get into the regulatory clearances for setting up new projects. Which means there is an opportunity for every MSME paint company to potentially partner with these companies also. And this has been seen in other geographies, and it has been seen in other industries in India. So please do not look upon it only in a confrontational sense as a lost opportunity or as a threat. There are actually going to be huge opportunities that come your way because these big players are entering the Indian paint industry. Okay, strategies for the MSME coatings growth. Play to your own strengths. Sanjay, you're not the only one with attractive pictures to put up. Huh? So obviously, if the smaller guy is going to try and arm wrestle the big guy, there's a small chance that he's going to win. But if he can instead use speed and agility to match up to that guy, then it becomes an even battle. So the point is, try and look at differentiation. Don't try and beat the big companies on purchasing power parity. It's a lost battle before you even started the game. Try and look at areas of geography, look at product innovation, look at R&D. Try and identify, maybe certain niche clients. Look at certain smarter marketing strategies. Use the digital paradigm, please. The digital paradigm is one of the greatest levelers out there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's an article that also in the souvenir that, okay, so I can spare all of you of that little lecture. But have a look at that. Build supplier loyalty, build customer loyalty. This cannot be emphasized enough. Okay? In the paint industry, which is raw material intensive, the way you treat your supplier, the way you engage with them is very, very important, and we don't understand it. If you look at it in a transactional sense, I buy from him and I pay him money, so I sit on top of him in the hierarchy. Factually, it might be correct, but please try and engage respectfully. Try and unlock the value that these suppliers have that they can offer to you, and you will be richer for the experience. Obviously, customer loyalty is a no-brainer. Be more aware of your ecosystem. Try and understand the changes that are coming about. What are the legislative changes that are coming about? What are the macro trends that are there? In wood, are we going away from MDF? In mobile phones, are we replacing plastic with metal or vice versa? Try and be aware of your ecosystem. Be more proactive in terms of understanding where your customers are going. I'm also going to be picking up on a point. Actually, if you look at it, ironically, a lot of my talk is picking up on the earlier speakers. I can promise It was done well before, I'm not copying them. But reward performance, what Sanjay said, within the organization. If you're going to be struggling as an MSME to attract talent and compete with the large players, the least you can do is nurture talent within your own organization, reward performances, because they understand. Remember, I go back again to what Sanjay said, these employees understand your company culture. And they can be uplifted and they can be your flag bearers for your growth tomorrow. Be prepared for inorganic growth. Again, there is no, there was once upon a time, you started your business in a certain way and you ended it in a certain way. There is no shame in being bought over. There is no shame in buying over someone else. There is no shame in partnering with a company as long as it helps you further your fundamental objectives of being in business. And the last, in this particular thing, please remain positive. One of the criticisms I must level against gatherings like this, with everyone's permission and with only good intention, the first thing you do, you walk in and say, "Kaise chal raha hai? Crude ka price bahut बढ़ गया." The next year I go back and I say, "Kaise chal raha hai? Crude ka price घट गया." Now try and understand. I mean, you want the price to go up, you want it to go down, you want it to be stable, or you just want an excuse to cry. Deal with it. Crude and many other things are phenomena that are beyond our control. You have to decide, as Sanjay said, you can't control the wind, adjust your sails. And there is an opportunity in every adversity. Now, how you react to it is going to determine how you be. And please remain positive, because it's in the interest of yourselves, it's in the interest of your supply chain, it's in the interest of your own employees that you remain positive and go out with a positive attitude and conduct your business. I have seen people, the same company, the same gentleman who would get down from a Maruti car 10 years ago, now gets off a Mercedes, and I say, "Saab, kaise chal raha hai?" "Bahut mandi chal raha hai." So, you get what I'm saying, okay? There is, or the fact that all of us are here, congregated at JW Marriott, paying a decent fee to Ipca, being here, in the midst of, peers, competitors, suppliers, suggests that we are doing well. Try and be a bit positive, try and be a bit progressive in your thoughts. A time for introspection. I don't want to sound philosophical, but I think this is important. Again, what Sanjay said is, you have to define the purpose of your business. What is precious to you? Are you here in it for profits? Are you here in it for turnover? Are you here in it for market share? Are you here in it for personal satisfaction? Are you here to create a legacy? What is it? Define that and try and identify your further business goals in the context of that. Finally, the business is the same thing. You're still going to be making paints, you're still going to be selling paints, you're still going to be giving credit, you're still going to be doing the same things. But if these actions and these goals can be tempered with a long-term vision, it will be much, much better for you to define in which direction you're going. Look beyond numbers. As Sanjay said, come on, numbers, okay, you have to be profitable as a business, you have to hit a certain critical mass. But beyond that, you have to look beyond it, because after a certain stage of success, these numbers are just a byproduct of what you do. You are going to hit those numbers, but what is it that you really want to do? Look beyond it, try and identify short-term, mid-term and long-term goals. Try and leave behind a legacy. Okay? After a certain while, nobody is going to remember you for your balance sheet. They will not even know what your balance sheet looked like. But if you can leave behind a legacy of being someone, Atil, is he still here? Mr. Chandresh Parekh, great Mr. Chandresh Parekh. What an inspiration he was. Today, when we recognized him, we did not mention his balance sheet. We recognized him for the pioneering work he did in the field of micronized minerals and the kind of identity he has given to the Indian mineral industry. So let the numbers follow, they will do well later. It doesn't mean that 20 microns is not doing well. Of course they're doing well, but leave behind a legacy for which you will be remembered. Grow responsibly, grow sustainably. As both our Lifetime Achievement awardees mentioned today, growth without honesty, growth without ethics is nothing. And ethics is a very subjective thing, so I don't want to be sermonizing and telling you have to do this. But define your own boundaries, define your own ethics, define your own responsibilities and grow within those parameters. Empower the next generation. Again, in the MSME industry, it doesn't mean that it's a logical conclusion that they have to take over. Find better people if you have to, but at least empower the next generation so they are potentially well placed to take over the business and inherit something that is desirable and that is healthy. contribute to the causes that you believe in. Again, our industry could do a lot. You know, there are painters, there are workers who have given their lives for our industry. Maybe there is a reason, there is a cause where all of us can get together and contribute to these people, you know, because they have no protection beyond their active working cycle. So we have to look at these things. Gratitude. I think some of us mentioned, you know, a sense of gratitude. So I think this is something that we tend to overlook, and if the last 2 years have taught us anything, it is that gratitude is a very underrated emotion. So please be grateful for what you are, you know, for all the losses you might have suffered, for all the trials and tribulations you must have gone through, the fact that you're still actively in business, the fact that you're an integral part of this industry, the fact that you continue to engage with all your peers here on this platform today. I think there must be a sense of gratitude that we must nurture in our hearts. So on cue, I am going to take this opportunity to express my gratitude on behalf of my family, on behalf of my organization, for allowing us to be a responsible media partner for this wonderful industry for the last 7 decades and for the last 3 generations. For giving us this opportunity to be the mouthpiece of this industry, for giving us this opportunity to be the window that the industry globally looks to view the Indian paint industry in the form of our Paint India exhibition. So thank you once again for your attention. Thank you once again for giving us this opportunity to serve this wonderful industry, and as long as we can continue to contribute, this is what we will continue to do. Thank you so much, and I must conclude with an invitation, because it's not just a pure marketing slide, which of course it is, but I had made this commitment on an Ipca platform 8-9 years ago. Not that long back. I have a decent memory. Don't try to. Okay. So, but about 10 years ago, and ironically, Sanjay was also a keynote speaker at that particular platform. So there's a nice sense of deja vu and completeness to this. 6 months from now, we will be bringing the maiden Paint India edition to Delhi. It was a commitment. It took a bit of while for certain reasons, but here we are, committed to ensuring that the North Indian paint industry also has a worthy platform with the same ethos, with the same capabilities and the same commitment that we bring at Paint India. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Ipca, I welcome you all to the flagship and mega conference, the Biennial, at the Hotel JW Marriott in New Delhi. I would like to thank all our sponsors, Apex Body, Central Committee, Regional Chairman and Regional Bodies for their contribution and efforts in making of this Biennial conference. Friends, as you know, this is Ipca's first mega event in physical attendance post the pandemic, and conference of this magnitude requires minimum 1 year of planning and implementation. While 2 years back, when the world was hit by the pandemic, it was almost impossible to even think of organizing this conference, but hats off to a dynamic team led by our President Shri Sagar Goel, who had a belief to host this conference in the national capital of the country, New Delhi. Our ever-charming duo conveners, I will say the Jai Viru Jodi of Ipca, Mr. Sanjeev Gupta and Mr. Jatin Agarwal, who have a habit and ability of making anything possible with perfection, success and tech. Our Vice President, Mr. Rohan Basin, who has given many sleepless nights in making a huge contribution to the sponsorship drive and seeing that no stone is left unturned. Our Finance Secretary, Mr. Nimish Agarwal, our Joint Secretary, Mr. Rahul Prabhakar, for their efforts. Our remarkable team from Maharashtra, consisting of Mr. S. Mahadevan, Mr. Rajiv Parekh, Mr. Jisal Parekh, who are always available and gave their heart and soul to this event. Our editors, Mr. Neerav Shah and Ms. Sonal Goel, who had done a fabulous job in making of this beautiful souvenir. In all, I thank each and every member, delegates and sponsor for handling this Biennial. Tomorrow we have a full day of technical seminars and business networking, and hope you will enjoy the next 2 days in this beautiful landmark hotel of Delhi, and will relish the delicious food, entertainment and drinks, and will have a great time. The bar and drinks are open now, the snacks and food is open. Thank you all once again.